I really do believe that we all deserve nice things. Like, I understand, like, there are days where you cannot just hop on a plane and go wherever you want to go.
Welcome back to another video on the Good Money community. I'm Naomi and I want to make you feel good about money. Today I want to talk about lifestyle creep. I have a few videos that I want to show you and talk to you about, and this is a subject that I have had experience with as well. So I'll share that at the end because I think it is useful for other people to learn from. So really short, what is lifestyle creep? It basically means that when your income increases, you increase your lifestyle with it. So for example, someone, let's say a student who makes $1,000 a month can get everything they need and maybe even save about $100 a month. Then you start your first job and perhaps you make about $2,000 a month, and all of a sudden you get an expensive apartment or you start eating out more, and at the end of the month you don't save anything. That is when you know lifestyle creep has happened. So your income has increased, but so have your expenses. All right, let's get into the videos.
One of my biggest financial mistakes is being a victim to lifestyle creep. I am a victim and this is such a painful learning experience. Graduated in 2022 and I made sure to celebrate. 3 months after graduating, I leased my car. Not the best decision. This was my first taste at adulthood, at freedom, so I was really living my best life. I was at every concert, every nice restaurant. I was getting every beauty service you could think of.
You can see, first of all, she's being incredibly honest and open and vulnerable online. So I don't want this to come across as me judging anyone, because sharing this I think is super useful for other people to listen to, but also she doesn't have to share this with the whole world. So first of all, respect to her sharing this. This is something you hear a lot. You graduate school, you've been kind of restricting yourself financially because of necessity, and then when you start making money, you start inflating your lifestyle with it. She bought or leased what looks like a brand new car. I think she's in the US or maybe in Canada, so having a car is sometimes unavoidable. But where I'm from, I currently live in London, it is absolutely not necessary to get a car. So if you can figure out a way to not use a car, that is already one of the biggest things you can do to help yourself. And if you absolutely need a car, there are so many secondhand cars out there that you can invest your money into, because it's really going to cost you way less than leasing a brand new car. Then there's a second thing in there that especially women are targeted with a lot. I see this a lot, and I personally don't understand this. I'm not that girly girl who gets their nails done, who gets their eyebrows done, who gets facials, who gets pedicures, manicures, whatever. But this is a huge source of people spending money, in my opinion, for no good reason. I'm not going to say don't look after yourself, don't, take care of what you look like. There are cheaper ways of doing this. You can learn to do some of this stuff yourself. I have a video where I talk about how little expenses can really add up to a lot of money over decades of time. If you want to see that, you can click there. But I really urge you to look at these new expenses in a really critical way. If you've done without them most of your life, do you really need to get everything done by anyone else? Maybe you can do your own eyebrows, maybe you can do your own nails, maybe you can do it once every 3 months instead of every 2 weeks or every week. I just feel like a lot of these expenses are often justified by saying, well, I like to look after myself and I find that important.
And I took 5 trips in 1 year. It was the most I had ever traveled in 1 year, and while this year was so much fun for me, I did not realize the damage I was doing. It took me a couple of months to realize that I was living completely beyond my means. Which sucks and is hard to admit in a society where everybody pretends that they have all the money in the world and is bad and bougie.
So she went on 5 trips. When you graduate, fair enough to go on a trip or 2. Definitely. If you have the money for it, if you know where you want to go or people who you're going with, it's an amazing way to say, well done, we graduated, So it's not about not going on these trips. But if you are about to graduate, think ahead. Try to think, I'd love to go on 2 trips. How much is that going to cost me? How much do I have to save per month in order to already save towards that? This is also how you can avoid what she's saying, that by the end of these trips, she only realized how much damage that had done. And due to comparing herself to other people, for example, to people online, I'm guessing, she felt like she had to go on all these trips and she deserved it.
At the end of the year, this is what my savings account looked like, and I literally could not sleep at night. I studied studied finance, I worked in banking. Theoretically, I should have known better. But all of a sudden, I had this car to pay for, and each week I would say, I'm gonna start saving next paycheck, and it just never happened.
This is something that I hear a lot of people say who are in finance, have a finance background, economics, who work for banks, that I work in this field, I should know better. This is the mistake that I see a lot of people make when it comes to money. Being good or not good with money is not about maths. Everyone understands that if you have a certain amount of money in your bank account and you keep swiping your card or pressing your phone against the payment machine, that amount is going to go down. The thing that's important to realize here is not maths, it's behavior. So if you're in university and you make a certain amount of money or you have a certain amount of money as disposable income, it's not like after school when you get your job, you forget how to do maths. It's that you have a new behavior and a new life that you have to get used to. So something I did to help myself when I graduated is, first of all, I tried to save up a few months before I was going to graduate. So I had some kind of buffer, but also 3 months into anything new. So a new job, living in a new city, renting a different house, I always make a budget by looking back at the last 3 months. Because you never really know how much you spend and where you spend it unless you put it in a budget. Now I have a free budget Excel template in the description if you want to use that, because often you will feel surprised.
I really do believe that we all deserve nice things. Like, I understand, like, there are days where you cannot just hop on a plane and go wherever you want to go, but, like, I want to. I feel like I really deserve that, yeah, I just want to have my South American summer. Everyone wants a Euro summer. I want a South American summer. I want an African summer, okay? I want to be abroad.
Right. I agree with her to an extent. You do deserve nice things, but those nice things feel even nicer if you manage to save up for them before you go and do them. I'm really lucky that I'm a bit older in this age of social media. I can really empathize with people who are young and who are seeing other people online on social media spending their money on nice things under the guise of I deserve it. I do think everyone deserves nice things, but I do also think that saving up towards something before you do the nice thing is even nicer and makes you more deserving of it. On the flip side, I think there's a lot of fun things you can do that do not cost money. I have a video where I spent a whole weekend doing free things in London, and doing things like that from time to time instead of constantly spending money really feels just as fun. So unfortunately, I feel like with the age of social media, a lot of people are starting to inadvertently glorify spending money and signaling that when you spend money, you have an interesting life or an adventurous life. Whereas you can do a lot of these things without spending anything.
And if I can't have my summer abroad, I should at least be able to eat out and it not cost me $20. Why is everything $20 now? Like, what's going on?
So she makes a valid point of cost of living having gone up. I think everyone is feeling it. I think for a while now, people have been talking about how the same amount of money doesn't get you as much as it would before. And it's definitely something that I think government should do something about, because we're already at a point where a large group of people is unable to finance the necessities day to day in order to live their life. I will say, for the people who are not in that position, for the people who have the choice of going on a trip and maybe, using their last dollars or pounds to do so, you do have a choice. So yes, everything has gone up, the cost of living has gone up, but the only thing we can do is focus on the things that we can influence. And one of those things is where you put your money. So don't buy into this idea that you need to spend money to have fun. Don't spend all your time on social media, because it really makes you just compare yourself to people who are showing a part of their life that looks way better on video than it probably is in real life. Don't fall for that comparison, because you put yourself in debt, you'll feel bad about it, you'll have a hard time sleeping, and it compromises a certain future that you probably want to have. Okay, now to end this video, let me share my experience with lifestyle creep. A few years ago, I graduated and I moved city. I lived with my mum for a few months, which meant I didn't have to pay rent, even though I was already working. So I tried to save a lot of that money of my paycheck, but I was looking at an apartment at the same time. Now, finding an apartment in Amsterdam, where I lived at the time, was incredibly difficult. And honestly, after being in university and being an older student, the last thing I wanted to do is live with roommates, even though this is what all my other friends who graduated with me we're doing. So I found this beautiful apartment in a part of town that I really wanted to live in, and I just went for it. And if I look at the percentage of my paycheck that I was paying towards this apartment, it could have been worse, but it definitely was not in line with my money values. So now that I've moved and I no longer live in an expensive place like that, I frequently think back of the amount of money I spent on rent, on furnishing the place, on doing up the place, because I was the first person who lived in the apartment, and how much money I could have saved if I hadn't done this lifestyle creep. Now, the most important thing is I don't think anyone should dwell on certain decisions. I do think that experience made me realize how important it is to think about your financial goals and values and then live out those values. So it definitely helped me on my financial journey. But if you're watching this and you're about to have an increase in income, or maybe you're graduating school, please make sure that you stick to a budget after you've gone through your new lifestyle change for a few months, and make sure you make choices that are in line with the values you have. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.